If you're a man over 60 and you've been quietly struggling with weak erections, low sensation, or that distant feeling in your most private area, you need to hear this. There's a natural oil. Yes, this oil that's helping men restore circulation, sensitivity, and confidence below the belt. And the results? In many cases, they've been nothing short of shocking. That's right, shocking results from a remedy you might already have sitting in your cabinet. No pills, no surgeries, no awkward appointments. Just a simple, powerful practice that's waking up parts of the male body many believed were gone for good. Especially for men over 60, this oil is making a quiet revolution possible, one drop at a time. I'm Dr. Thomas, a urologist and men's health expert with over 30 years of experience. And after decades of helping men over 60 regain function and vitality, I can tell you with confidence, this method is worth your attention. So before we dive into exactly how to use this oil, what to expect day by day, and how to turn it into a lasting ritual, do yourself a favor, hit the subscribe button now so you won't miss the rest of this video or any future updates. All right, let's begin. Number one, the real reason men over 60 feel disconnected. It usually starts quietly, a missing spark in the morning, a sensation that used to feel electric, now dulled, a growing sense of detachment, like the lower half of your body is no longer part of you. For many men over 60, this experience becomes a silent reality, not spoken of, not treated, just quietly endured. As a urologist, I've sat across from hundreds of men who felt this way. Men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s. They often don't use medical terms. They say things like, I just don't feel like myself anymore, or it's like something shut off down there. And in almost every case, what's happening isn't mysterious or irreversible. It's biological. As we age, the small blood vessels in the pelvic region, the ones responsible for nourishing the most sensitive tissue in a man's body, begin to narrow and stiffen. The arteries that once expanded freely to deliver oxygen-rich blood lose their flexibility. Circulation slows. Sensation fades. Nerve endings require more and more stimulation to react. Erections become weaker, slower, or stop altogether. But here's the part most doctors never say out loud. When that blood flow fades, so does connection. Your brain starts to treat that region like foreign territory. Without feedback from sensation, without consistent arousal or function, your mind begins to forget how to relate to that part of you. And with that, confidence quietly erodes. This isn't just about hormones, and it's not simply about testosterone. It's about attention. The male body, especially for men over 60, still responds to care, to presence, to stimulation. But it needs the right kind, not a synthetic boost, not a quick fix, but a signal to come back online. One patient of mine, Harold, 68, a retired firefighter, told me he felt like his body clock had stopped ticking. But what Harold discovered, and what I'll show you soon, is that with the right kind of daily care, even a forgotten part of you can wake up again. So if you're a man over 60 and you've been feeling distant from yourself lately, know this, it's not weakness, it's biology. And biology can be reawakened. If this part spoke to you, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss what comes next. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, questions, or even your own story in the comments below. Every experience matters here. Number two, rosemary oil, the ancient secret that sparks modern results. When people think of rosemary, they think of cooking, maybe a fragrant herb in a Sunday roast. But few realize that rosemary, specifically its essential oil, holds properties that go far beyond flavor. For men over 60 who are struggling with blood flow and sensation, this ancient botanical may be one of the most overlooked yet powerful tools in nature's medicine chest. Let's get specific. Rosemary essential oil contains compounds like rosmarinic acid, carnosol, and 1008-cineol, all of which have been studied for their effects on vascular function and nerve regeneration. According to research published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology, rosemary oil improves microcirculation by dilating blood vessels and reducing inflammation in soft tissue. This is exactly what aging pelvic tissue needs to recover function. As we age, especially for men over 60, the lower body begins to suffer from microvascular stiffness. That means less blood is getting where it needs to want to, and nerve sensitivity declines. The brilliance of rosemary oil is its dual action effect. It helps restore blood flow and enhances nerve response, making it not only easier to perform but also easier to feel. I first began experimenting with rosemary oil nearly a decade ago, not as a gimmick, but because I had a patient named Tyler, 72 years old, a retired architect, who didn't want another pill. He told me plainly, "I want to feel like I belong in my body again, not like I'm just managing symptoms." So we started with a simple regimen: a few drops of rosemary essential oil, diluted in sweet almond oil, applied gently each evening after a warm shower. Within days, Tyler described something he hadn't felt in years: warmth. Not a burning sensation, but an awakening. A pulse of life that started in his lower abdomen and seemed to echo through his whole body. From a medical perspective, this made perfect sense. The peripheral circulation was reactivating. The capillaries were responding. And perhaps most importantly, Tyler was giving that part of his body attention without pressure or shame. You see, the act of applying rosemary oil is more than physical. It becomes a ritual, a signal to the nervous system that this part of you still matters, that it deserves care, touch, and presence. For men over 60 who have felt ignored by both their doctors and their bodies, this matters more than any prescription. It's also worth noting that rosemary has been used for centuries across cultures, from the ancient Greeks to traditional Middle Eastern medicine, for vitality and circulation. It's only recently that science has begun to validate what our ancestors knew intuitively. So before we dive into exactly how to use it, ask yourself this: when was the last time you treated your body with that kind of intentional care? If you're curious where to begin, stay with me, because up next, I'll walk you through the exact method that's helped many of my patients, including Tyler, reclaim function, feeling, and confidence. And if this insight sparks something in you, consider subscribing to the channel so you won't miss what's coming next. And drop a comment if this topic resonates or if you've ever tried natural remedies like this. Your story might help someone else take the first step. Number 3, how to apply it the right way. A ritual, not a task. One of the biggest mistakes I see when men try natural methods is that they rush through the process. They treat it like brushing their teeth, something to check off the list. But your body, especially after 60, doesn't respond to speed. It responds to presence. Applying rosemary oil the right way isn't just about where or when, it's about how. It's not a task, it's a ritual, a message to your nervous system that says, this part of me still matters. Let's start with preparation. Always dilute rosemary essential oil before use. Essential oils are concentrated, and using them directly on sensitive skin can cause irritation. I recommend mixing 3 to 5 drops of rosemary oil into 1 tablespoon of a carrier oil like sweet almond, jojoba, or coconut oil. Gently blend the oils in the palm of your hand until it feels warm. That warmth alone starts to activate your body's awareness. Timing is also key. The best moment is after a warm shower when your pores are open and your muscles are relaxed. Stand or sit in a quiet place where you feel comfortable. Begin at the base of your abdomen, just above the pubic bone. With your fingertips, apply the oil using slow, circular motions. Don't press hard. This isn't about force, it's about rhythm. Move outward to the inner thighs and groin area. You don't have to apply it directly to the shaft unless you want to. Stimulating the surrounding region already encourages better blood flow and nerve response. Now here's what sets this apart from a routine: your breath. Inhale slowly through your nose and exhale gently through your mouth. Let your breath guide your pace. Feel the temperature, the texture, the connection. For many men over 60, this might be the first time in years they've touched this part of their body with care rather than frustration. I remember a patient named Marcus, 67, who told me after his first week of doing this, "It didn't feel like I was fixing something, it felt like I was coming home." That's the power of ritual. You can begin with 1 session each evening, 5 to 7 minutes. Some men choose to add a second session in the morning for deeper results. What matters most is consistency and the intention behind each touch. If you've never tried something like this before, don't worry. Just start. Your body will respond. If you found this explanation useful, make sure you're subscribed so you won't miss the next step. And if you have questions or experiences to share, drop them in the comments. I read everyone. Number 4, day by day. What to expect in your first 7 days. Most men are skeptical when I tell them they might feel a change within just 1 week, especially men over 60 who've spent years quietly believing their bodies had already passed a point of no return. But I've seen it too many times to ignore. Subtle shifts that begin as early as day 1. This isn't about miracles, it's about reconnection. And your body, even after years of silence, still remembers how to respond. On day 1, the experience is often more emotional than physical. As you apply the oil, breathe, and bring focused attention to an area you may have neglected, something shifts. It may not be arousal, it may not even be pleasure. It might simply be a quiet feeling of, I'm here. This is mine. By day 2 or 3, a gentle warmth begins to settle in. For some men, it comes as a tingling sensation in the lower abdomen or groin. For others, it's an awareness that wasn't there before, like the lights are slowly flickering back on. Blood is beginning to move. Nerve endings are starting to wake. Around day 4, many men report a heightened sensitivity. This doesn't necessarily mean full erections yet, but it does mean that touch feels more present. Morning stiffness may return, and physical stimulation becomes easier. By day 5 or 6, confidence begins to grow, not from performance, but from presence. One of my patients, Daniel, 70, a retired piano teacher, told me, I don't know if I was harder, but I felt more alive. That kind of shift is powerful. For men over 60, regaining that emotional and physical awareness can be life-changing. Day 7 is often what I call the mirror moment. You catch yourself looking differently, not because you look younger, but because you feel more there. The area may feel fuller, warmer, and somehow more yours. These early results aren't the finish line, they're the door opening. And your body, once awakened, wants more care, not less. The key is not to chase an outcome, but to show up. That's what brings the deeper transformation. If you're already trying this or just starting to consider it, be kind with yourself and pay attention. The little things add up. If this breakdown gave you clarity or hope, make sure you're following the channel so you can keep learning with us. And please share in the comments, how did your first week go, or what are you hoping to feel? Number 5, the Power Trio, 3 natural oils that boost your results. While rosemary oil alone can make a real difference, nature rarely works best in isolation. Just like our bodies respond to balance, plants and oils often become more powerful when they work in harmony. Over the years, I've seen the greatest results in men over 60 when we combine rosemary with a few key allies. Let me introduce you to the trio I call the natural circuit breaker. Together, these 3 oils boost blood flow, support nerve health, and bring a deeper sense of energy and connection. The first is ginger oil. Ginger is more than a spice. It's a circulatory stimulant. When applied topically, it brings a warming sensation to the skin and underlying tissue, helping dilate blood vessels and increase flow. It pairs beautifully with rosemary, giving that same awakening effect a stronger push. Think of ginger as your internal spark. The second is lavender oil. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Lavender is for stress or sleep, not something as masculine as circulation. But here's the thing. For many men over 60, tension is a hidden enemy. The pelvic region often holds on to stress, especially when performance anxiety builds over time. Lavender helps soften that physical and mental tension. It tells your nervous system it's safe to respond again. The third oil is black seed oil, sometimes called black cumin oil. It's been used in Middle Eastern medicine for generations. What makes it special is its anti-inflammatory properties and support for hormonal balance. Some compounds in black seed oil even help regulate testosterone levels. And when massaged into the lower abdomen, it nourishes the tissue with deep, cellular level repair. One of my patients, Gerald, 66, a former military mechanic, tried this blend after weeks of using rosemary alone. He came back and said, Doc, it's like I added fuel to the fire, in a good way. The combination made everything feel more responsive, more full of life. Here's a simple blend you can try. 3 drops of rosemary, 2 drops of ginger, 1 drop of lavender or black seed oil. Mixed into 1 tablespoon of a carrier oil like almond or coconut. Warm it gently between your palms and apply it the same way we discussed earlier. You can alternate between lavender and black seed based on your body's needs, some days for calm, some for restoration. Men over 60 often think they have to choose between feeling strong and feeling relaxed. But when you use these oils together, you don't have to choose. You get both. If this combination feels worth trying, go ahead and give it a shot. And if you found value in this, consider tapping the subscribe button so future videos find you easier. I'd also love to hear your favorite blends or personal tips in the comments. Let's learn from each other. Number 6. It's not just physical, the emotional awakening. Too often when we talk about men's health, the conversation is limited to function. Can you perform or not? Do you get erections or not? But for men over 60, the loss they feel goes far deeper than what happens in the bedroom. It's a loss of identity, of presence, of a quiet inner fire that once made them feel grounded and whole. You see, when blood flow declines and nerve sensitivity fades, it's not just about physical disconnection. It affects how a man sees himself in the mirror, how he feels walking through the world. That change doesn't come with an announcement, it sneaks in. One day you stop reaching for your partner. You stop expecting that spark. You stop seeing that part of you as fully alive. I've had countless conversations with men who didn't just feel less sexual, they felt less themselves. It's like someone turned down the volume on their confidence, and they didn't even notice it happening until they could barely hear it at all. This is why natural rituals, like using oil with intentional care, go far beyond biology. They remind the body and the mind that this area is still yours, still worthy of your attention, still part of who you are. A patient of mine, Eugene, 74, a retired high school football coach, put it best. After 3 weeks of nightly application, he told me, it wasn't just that things worked better, it was that I started looking at myself differently. Like I was still a man, not just an old version of one. That hit me hard. For men over 60, that kind of awakening, even subtle, can ripple outward into every part of life. Your posture changes, the way you speak changes, your energy returns. And it's not because you took a drug, it's because you reconnected with your body and gave it permission to feel again. This kind of transformation isn't loud. It's quiet, personal, and deeply meaningful. It starts with a few drops of oil and a willingness to care, but the effects can be felt in how you carry yourself, how you touch your partner, and how you show up in the world. If you've ever felt like part of you faded without permission, I want you to know you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not finished. If this part resonated with you, give this video a like so more men can find it. And if you're comfortable, share in the comments, what part of yourself do you want to reconnect with the most? Number 7, how to build this into your life and keep it there. The first few days of trying something new can feel exciting. You're curious, hopeful, maybe even surprised by early changes. But real transformation doesn't come from what you do once. It comes from what you repeat. For men over 60, the key isn't just finding something that works, it's learning how to make it last. That's where rhythm matters more than motivation. Motivation fades, life gets busy, doubt creeps in. But rhythm, when you make it part of your daily life, becomes second nature. So how do you turn this oil practice into a habit that sticks? Start by linking it to something you already do. After your evening shower, after brushing your teeth, or right before bed, choose a time that's quiet and consistent. Keep the oil where you can see it. Visibility builds routine. It also helps to keep it simple. You don't need candles or soft music unless you enjoy that. All you need is 5 to 10 minutes of quiet attention, your own hands, and the intention to care for yourself without pressure. Many men over 60 tell me they struggle with consistency, not because of time, but because they feel silly or uncomfortable. I understand that. This isn't something we were raised to do. But caring for your body isn't vanity. It's respect. I had a patient named Malcolm, 69, a retired truck driver, who told me he felt awkward the first few times. But then something shifted. It went from feeling like a to feeling like a check-in, he said. Like I was checking in with myself, asking how I was doing, and listening to the answer. That's the essence of a ritual. You can also support this habit with light movement. A short evening walk, some deep breathing, or gentle pelvic stretches can enhance circulation and set the stage for better results. None of it has to be intense. It just has to be intentional. Over time, this practice becomes more than oil and touch. It becomes a signal, a way of saying, I still care, I still want to feel good in my body. That message, repeated daily, doesn't just impact your physical health. It lifts your energy, sharpens your focus, and renews your sense of self. Men over 60 don't need to overhaul their lives to feel better. They need small, meaningful actions done consistently. That's how lasting change is built. If this idea of turning care into ritual speaks to you, I invite you to subscribe for more tools like this. And in the comments, tell me, what time of day works best for you to connect with yourself? Number 8, you're not broken, you're rebuilding. There's a quiet lie that too many men over 60 begin to believe. It doesn't come in words, it comes in silence. The silence when your body doesn't respond the way it used to. The silence when your doctor shrugs and calls it normal. The silence when you look in the mirror and avoid your own reflection. This lie says you're broken, that you're fading, that what you used to be is gone, and what's left is just something to manage, not something to reclaim. But that's not the truth. The truth is you're rebuilding. You see, the body isn't a machine that breaks down and stays broken. It's a living system. And while it changes with age, it also adapts. It listens, it remembers. And when you give it the right attention, it begins to respond again. I've worked with hundreds of men over 60 who thought they were finished, not just sexually, but emotionally. They had stopped expecting anything good from their bodies. They had accepted a version of life that was quieter, lonelier, and less connected. But through small, intentional steps, they began to return to themselves. One of those men was Victor, 73, a retired postal worker. He wasn't looking for a miracle. He just wanted to feel like himself again. He started using the oil, slowly, patiently, without expecting too much. At first, all he noticed was warmth. Then came the sensation. Then came the confidence. But what moved him most wasn't the physical change. It was the emotional return. He told me, I didn't know how much I missed feeling like a man. Not because of performance, but because I'd forgotten what it felt like to belong in my own body. That moment, that sense of belonging, is where healing begins. For men over 60, the goal isn't to feel E5 again. It's to feel present again, to feel grounded, responsive, awake. And that doesn't come from a prescription or a quick fix. It comes from choosing to care, day after day, even when no one else sees it. You're not broken, you're rebuilding. Every drop of oil, every breath of attention, every moment you spend reconnecting with your body is part of that process. And yes, it's worth it. If this message felt true for you, consider sharing this video with someone else who needs to hear it. And in the comments, tell me what rebuilding means for you personally. I'd be honored to read it. Number 9, don't just try. Commit to the return. There's a difference between trying and committing. Trying is hopeful but hesitant. It dips a toe in, waits for a result, and often retreats when things take time. Commitment is different. It's steady, grounded, and willing to show up even when the progress is quiet. For men over 60, this distinction can change everything. Because the truth is, your body may not give you fireworks on day one. It may not even respond noticeably at first, but it is listening. And when you keep showing up, it begins to trust you again. Trying might get you a good day. Commitment brings transformation. This isn't about perfection. You don't need to follow every instruction exactly or perform some flawless ritual every night. What matters more is presence, consistency, a quiet willingness to keep coming back, even on the days you feel doubtful. One of my patients, Howard, 75, a retired math professor, told me something that stuck. I tried a dozen things over the years, he said, but I always gave up after a few days. This time, I didn't treat it like an experiment. I treated it like a conversation with my body, and it answered back. That's the mindset shift that changes everything. When you stop trying to fix yourself and start trying to return to yourself, your entire experience evolves. Men over 60 often think they've lost time, lost strength, or lost identity, but what's really been lost is rhythm, repetition, care. By committing to this simple practice, you're rebuilding all three. There's a quiet power in showing up, even when no one else sees it. That daily oil ritual, those few moments of breathing and touch, they're not small. They're a declaration, a way of saying, I'm still here, I still matter. So don't just try, don't make this another thing that lasts a week and fades. If it moves something inside you, if you've felt even a flicker of warmth, sensation, or clarity, follow that, build on it, let it grow. You're not chasing youth, you're reclaiming presence. And every day you commit, you deepen that return. If this spoke to something in you, let me know below. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so you can continue this journey with me. We're just getting started. Final reflections. The return to yourself. Somewhere along the way, many men over 60 begin to quietly withdraw from their own bodies. Not because they want to, but because no one ever taught them how to stay connected. Life, stress, and time slowly build walls between how they feel and who they used to be. But here's the truth, that sense of vitality, of presence, of manhood, is not gone. It's waiting. It doesn't take a miracle, a prescription, or a drastic change. It takes care, attention, the willingness to say, I still matter, and to follow through with action, even in the smallest ways. Every drop of oil, every breath of presence, every moment you reconnect with your body is an act of restoration. This isn't just about improving blood flow. It's about returning to a version of yourself that feels whole, a version that walks taller, breathes deeper, and connects more fully, not just in the bedroom, but in life. The lesson here is simple, but powerful. You are not too old. You are not past your prime. You are still becoming. And the journey ahead is not about trying to relive the past, but about claiming the strength, clarity, and dignity you've earned with time. If any part of this message spoke to you, I invite you to take a step forward. Like this video to let others know it meant something. Share it with a friend or partner who might need to hear this message. And subscribe, then tap the bell icon so you never miss another video designed to support men just like you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for showing up for yourself. And most of all, thank you for still believing in your own return. Wishing you warmth, strength, and connection.